Excelsior, fellow marvelers. Let's talk about Secret Invasion. I have always loved Samuel L. Jackson, ever since I saw him in Pulp Fiction, which is over there. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of goodwill, shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. You get that? And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee. So that was his character Jules in Pulp Fiction, but I must also say that his character in Deep Blue Sea gave me nightmares because I have had galleophobia, which is the fear of sharks, ever since I saw Jaws on one Sunday during movie Sundays in Barn Hall in the auditorium of my alma mater, the Lawrence School Sanar. But Samuel L. Jackson obviously plays Nick Fury, the spy master extraordinaire in Secret Invasion. And, it starts with Moscow in the present day. And I see that Arthur Dent, Martin Freeman, the actor who plays Arthur Dent in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is the first character that we see on screen. And it absolutely takes me back to those days when Hitchhiker's Guide was just a book, just a beautiful, awesome science fiction comedy. And seeing it translated onto the screen in such a curtailed, limited, sort of, constrained way was a little disappointing. But let's see, the future, holds a lot of potential. And I will say that the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie had the late, great Alan Rickman as the voice of Marvin, the paranoid android. And that reminds me also, Paranoid Android reminds me about OK Computer, which is a Disney Plus series in Hindi. And it's one of the few science fiction series to have come out of Indian studios. I think it's by Mimesis. Which also reminds me about Sheldon saying mimesis in the Big Bang Theory, by I think Neil Pejda, Anand Gandhi, people who were behind Ship of Theseus also, I guess. So lots of creative minds and thought went into making OK Computer. You should check out that as well if you are in India, if you like Hindi and if you like science fiction. And getting back to Secret Invasion, let me refer to my notes. And the Arthur Dent Ross character gets into a meeting with a conspiracy theorist with the usual whole wall full of pinned clippings, newspaper clippings, and a bank of screens which are showing news items from all around the world and schematics and all sorts of things. So the Arthur Dent actor Martin Freeman, he is chased by a Russian fellow, a big sturdy Russian fellow, and they go through the bylanes of Moscow and over the rooftops, and finally he tries to make a jump across an alley but lands right on the ground, and that's the end of the chase, at the end of which we realize that it's a Skrull. And Skrulls, of course, spoiler alert, in case you haven't been watching the MCU, if you haven't watched Captain Marvel or the other MCU shows, then you should know that Skrulls are aliens who are shapeshifters. They can take the form of any human being or other species, we don't know, but all we've seen them doing is taking on the form of Skrulls. Actually, we have seen them take on the forms of other species in Captain Marvel, but that's for a different review. Right now, the story goes on, and nothing is as it seems, as Pearl Jam once sang. Watson, of course, is not Ross, but a bad Skrull. I say Watson because Martin Freeman played Watson in the Benedict Cumberbatch Doctor Strange's Sherlock as well. So that's another nice spiral for actors to get behind. Alright, so Fury is beamed down, and that was an intentional callback to Star Trek. So Fury is beamed down from Saber, which is the space station where he is building a space defense system for Earth. And we were shown that he was on that Skrull space station at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. Alright. Let the spy games commence, and he gets abducted by an MI6 agent. Not one agent, he's basically blackballed, or what do you say, sandbagged, and brought to the MI6 operative, Sonia, and he plants a listening device, or rather a seeing device, or whatever you want to call it, a spy device in the flat, and so they get to know that the MI6 people are also after the main villain. And this is where Secret Invasion is a little different from usual Marvel shows, because the main villain is a clear and present danger already, right from the word go. So his name is Gravik, which holds a little bit of gravitas, doesn't it? And I wanted to wear a beanie, because Fury is wearing a beanie in most of the scenes, but I guess this backwards Avengers cap will have to do. And the beanie also reminded me about Todd from BoJack Horseman. If you haven't seen BoJack Horseman, you should check it out. But be warned, it's not for kids, even though it's a cartoon. It's an adult animation series. Alright, it's on Netflix. So another callback, or rather a reference that I was irrevocably reminded of when the dialogue was going on, is that there is a nuclear scientist who specializes in making dirty bombs, and his ex-wife is in Miami with a soccer player, and that reminded me about Lionel Messi's move to International Miami. So that is something that is going to rock the football world as well. Ronaldo is already in the Saudi leagues, Messi has gone to America, and let's see what the rest of the superstars of football do. Will they chase after money, or will they stay loyal to their clubs? I guess we'll find out when the transfer window ends. Check out my Manchester United videos on my channel if you've watched so far. And there is a fan service moment of that Fury blipping away at the end of Avengers Infinity War and just saying his trademark mother F, which he used to very heavy impact in Pulp Fiction as well. And there is some familial fraternization between Talos and his estranged daughter, played by Game of Thrones Daenerys Targaryen, Emilia Clarke. And it's slightly different because Game of Thrones was of course fantasy, and Secret Invasion is a different kind of fantasy. It's sort of sci-fi comic book fantasy, whereas Game of Thrones was more of a high fantasy genre. I won't compare that to Lord of the Rings, which is the most awesome high fantasy series ever written, no doubt about it. Check out my Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power videos as well if you're interested in high fantasy. And finally, the episode goes kaboom! Kobe Smulders, who plays Maria Hill, she is billed as a guest star, which means, because, spoilers alert again, she is shot in the last scene. That means she will probably not be appearing for the rest of the series. But that's a very small loss. I think we can look forward to a great action-packed, fast-moving, and delving into the past of Fury and maybe Captain Marvel and Skrull's relationship as well. So Talos and Fury fly into the wind while the villain gets away. And with that, I will bid you adieu. And make sure you check out my other videos. Like I said, smash that sub button for Awesome Max Fun, Wakanda Forever, and welcome Advitya to the Marveler group. She's the newest addition to Avengers Assembled. Alright then, thank you so much for watching, and take care, stay safe, and enjoy.